And so, she works 4 10-hour days. And so that documentation sort of piles up after hours. What do you say right now to somebody like that in terms of how they can improve? So keep evenings stress-free. That's like the big language a lot of these ads are using, right? Like that promise of these AI tools, like keep your evenings stress-free, save time, save whatever. But we now have established like you kind of have to know the basics and there's risk and all that. But what do you say to somebody like that? Is it a matter of, and this is going to sound kind of ridiculous, but should we be teaching them to type faster? Should we be making better templates? Like what is there? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I think they just need to know what the right way to document, the right words to put in, and not putting all like. I know as an occupational therapist, I think more OT than PT. We're wordy. We like to write stories because we feel like we have to over justify our services, which really isn't the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because it's going to distract from the actual skill that you're providing, and it could lead you to more problems down the road.
Yeah.
So someone like
Yeah.
the TT that you were talking about, we have a lot of people coming to us that are new moms returning to the field after a little break, either whether it be 6 months or 6 years. And, they don't know, maybe they were on paper, they were writing on paper and then they returned to work and they're like, oh, now I'm using this EMR system. They don't, from a technology standpoint, they, are getting used to that. So that's overwhelming. But then just knowing what to type in your notes, like all the right things, the skilled phrases. And like we said, we provide treatment ideas with examples of how to document it. So just seeing that, it's like, oh, okay. Like light bulb, like, oh, this is how I do it. I don't have to write 3 more sentences afterwards, like explaining each step of the activity.
But that's what we kind of having like more banks of documentation, like we say, like forever, so many different exercises. We have like all these ways the patient can present, which basically shows that you just click and then it's like done. So it does show your skill. It's pretty fast that way. And
Examples of verbal cues, visual cues, physical, tactile, different strategies that we're commonly using in therapy. And it helps guide your treatments better too.
Okay, so this is going to sound like a broad question, but I'm genuinely curious, like how you guys think about this. Like, if you had a magic wand, let's just pretend there's like a, we're talking here. Let's just pretend there was like a practice owner here in the corner that we had the magic wand and we could like deep dive into the business real quick and look at it. When you guys like. You guys have done this enough to probably have some sort of intuitive sense of like where problem areas are, whether it's potential areas where they could get audited and they're screwing it up, or potential areas where their clinicians are just totally inefficient in terms of documentation and stuff. So in this like really broad, poorly articulated question, and you have this magic wand, let's just say a practice owner opens the doors to their EMR and their office and everything to you. How walk me through your thought process. Like, how do you guys look based on your intuition, your experience? Like, how do you guys spot like possible trouble areas or areas of opportunity from a documentation standpoint?
Well, first of all, we're looking, we actually have done a few chart reviews ourselves with some of our members. And some of the red flags that we see are they're too vague. They're just saying the exercise, but they're not saying what skill you provided with them. They're also being repetitive. They're copy and pasting every single treatment. So it's like, they have 5 treatments in a row doing the same exercise. Well, what are your progressions? The same cues? Like how are you going to get reimbursed? Like, why is that patient, if they're not making improvements, why should they be reimbursed? So, we're going to look at that, why they would be denied. That's kind of like our main focus if we were to look at someone else's clinic.
And we went into some clinic owners too, and a lot specialize in different areas, maybe more athletes or more older adults or vestibular. If you take the basics of like their population, you can kind of make a more like advanced like guides, kind of documentation banks for it. Like you can go in, like we worked a lot with older adults. So I always like to use the transfer thing because PTs and OTs, but you can have like 20 different options, like how your patient presents and cues you give. And almost always it's one of them, you have so many options, but we say really look at like your clinic focus and then really, show you documentation. How can we do this? What progressions can we give? How can we modify this? And have all those options available. Let people see it in your clinic. So it's a little easier to think or Google or go on AI, like they can.
If you'd like to learn more about Strata PT and see how our EMR and RCM works, head over to stratapt.com to book a demo.